Have you ever tried to ride an old rusty bike and it just doesn't work very well? Well, in today's video, we're going to give you the ultimate guide to cleaning a rusty bike. Join me inside and I'll show you how we do it. Let's be honest, we've all got a bike sitting in the back of the shed that we've been saying, I'm going to clean it, I'm going to do this, I'm gonna. Well, now let's talk about how we're actually gonna clean the bike. We're gonna talk about how to clean the rust off this bike. As you can see by looking, this once upon a time was a beautiful Malvern Star bike. This would have been someone's absolute pride and joy. But unfortunately, for the last few years, maybe even the last few decades, it's sat in the shed untouched, and now it's got quite a bit of rust all over it. So we're gonna look at all the different components and work out how we can try and make it a little bit cleaner. The first thing we're gonna do is a thorough inspection. We're gonna look across the whole bike and see if we can find any actual corrosion, anything that's really damaging on the bike. There might be a reason that it's been sitting in the back of the shed and hasn't been used for a while. So let's have a close look, maybe at the different points where the tubes come together, the lugs, or the different bolts around the place. Let's just have a really good visual look over the bike first. Yeah, that's a good visual look. I wasn't really looking at anything. A couple of the key areas that we want to have a good look at here are the frame. I think the frame is the first thing that we want to look at. We're going to look at maybe the lugs, or perhaps depending on the era of the bike, the welding points. This one has lugs where the tubes go sort of into these lugs, into these joining parts. So we're going to have a look there and make sure that it's not coming apart so that the lug can't move around. So we can have a good look around there and on both sides, and just making sure that it's not undoing itself at the spot where all of these different tubes join in together. So they'll be, you know, here, they'll be kind of everywhere. So just have a look at all those different spots and make sure they're not coming apart. Because if these are coming apart, there's pretty much no point trying to save the frame. We should put this bike as a piece of artwork on the wall maybe. While we're still looking at the frame, we can have a look at the actual tubes as well and see if there's any big dents or perhaps any corrosion that's begun to fall in. One way that we can do it is obviously just looking at it, but the other way that we can do it is if we run our fingers along, we're able to feel if there's different bumps. Now, I was told that if the bump is pointing outwards on the frame, it might just be like a scratch or something like that, nothing to worry about too much. But if it's a big dent into the frame, that could be catastrophic. So we want to be really careful there. I would just say here as well, if you do have any corrosion or any sort of indents into the frame, it's probably worth getting a second opinion at the local bike shop. But if you can't find any issues like that, keep watching this video. Let's also have a quick look at the fork as well. All the same things that I said with the frame, as in making sure that where the lugs go in, because this is a old school retro kind of bike, making sure that they are still safe, and also running our fingers along the fork on the inside and the out, making sure that we can't feel any bumps throughout there as well. So the frame and the fork. Another thing that we can look at is the handlebar and in general the whole cockpit area. One way that I like to test to see if they are a little bit corroded is with no music on so that I'm able to hear. If I grab my hands and try and push them inwards on the handlebar and then also try and push them outwards, first of all, are they moving? And second of all, can I hear it making any noise? Kind of like a creaking or a cracking kind of noise. That could mean that they are corroded. So I'll try and push them inwards as hard as I can, and then try and pull them outwards as hard as I can as well. This one feels pretty damn solid actually. It all feels quite solid to me actually, which is quite good. This is especially important if you live near the beach and near some salt water. Salt water can make corrosion happen faster, I suppose. So we really want to make sure of it if you live near the beach. Now, if you do think that your handlebars might be corroded, even just might, I would strongly recommend removing the handlebar tape so that you can have a good look underneath there, especially around here where the levers connect to the handlebar. For the $20 or $30 that new handlebar tape is going to cost, I strongly recommend this and I think it's absolutely worth it. And a couple of Spitfire ones I've got for you here. Make sure that the wheels can still spin. That would be an important one. That back one doesn't spin very well, but it does still spin, which is a kind of good sign, I suppose. Make sure that the pedals are still able to move. Sometimes the chain can become so rusty that the chain can't even bend around here. So we want to make sure that you're still able to pedal forward. And the third one that I'd say is to make sure that the handlebars can still turn. Sometimes if the bike is sitting in the shed for so long untouched, the grease that's sitting on these two bearings, or sort of inside these two ball bearings here, might sort of wash out with time and the handlebars will become seized, so you won't be able to turn it. We want to make sure that the handlebars can still turn because that's how we steer the bike. I also want to quickly mention that we want to make sure that both of the brake levers still work, and if you've got gear levers, making sure that they still shift as well. Well, this one only has a rear. This is a one-by system. It's sort of one of the original one-by bikes, I just realized. Anyway, we want to make sure that they are still able to move. Now, if the bike is incredibly rusty, as this one is, I expect that these levers, or the shift lever, might be really heavy. That's okay. We're probably going to end up replacing the cables inside them anyway, but I just want to have a quick look and make sure that they're able to move a little bit, because we'll come back to that later. So now that we've finished our thorough inspection, now we can move across to making sure that it all works perfectly. So let me show you what you're going to need for the next step. So what do we actually need? Well, I'm going to say we need our rust removal, whether you use a WD-40 or rust removal or RP7 or something like that, or Muc-Off even make one. It's called the MO94, same kind of idea as the WD-40. Now this is only going to be good for trying to clean it, but we're also going to need something to clean it all off later as well. So just our normal bike wash that we're used to. We're also going to need some sort of brush so that we can scrub it all away. Something like a steel wool or something like that ideally, but it's going to get completely dirty. You're not going to want to wash the dishes with it after, so be ready to throw it out, or find yourself a nice dirty rag that's almost ready for the bin as well. And gloves. Step one, start with a little bit of bike wash. I just want to make it look a little bit better than it sort of did before. It doesn't need to look immaculate. I just want to make it look a little nicer. If it's been sitting for a while, there might be a little bit of dirt on there. So we just want to clean that off so we can see which parts are actually rusty. So all I'm really doing here is just cleaning the bike. If you want a more in-depth video about how to clean your bike, we did a pretty good one further back on our YouTube channel. Obviously, I think it's pretty good because we made it, but I think it was actually quite a well-received video. So if you want a more in-depth video about how to actually clean your bike, go and check that one out. But essentially, we're just cleaning off the top layer of muck and grime so that we can see which parts are actually rusty, not just dirty. So now that I've given this bike a little bit of a clean, I can take a closer look at what parts are actually rusty. Some of the obvious spots that I can see are, there's a little bit along the frame, but it's also been painted over, so that's going to be a little bit difficult to clean. I can look at the brake calipers, the front and back, the derailleur, I can see that's a little bit rusty. I can see that the wheels, perhaps even the spokes, are a little bit rusty too. And the crankset kind of looks quite obvious and rusty, so we can see if we can try and make that a little bit better as well. It was probably a polished silver back in the day, so it'd be awesome if we could bring it back to that. I don't think we'll get quite that good, but we'll make it better than how it is. So now we're ready to actually start removing the rust. The first step here is we're going to try and soak it in our rust removing stuff. So the different areas that I spoke about, I think I mentioned a little bit about the derailleur. Try and get the back side of that too a little bit. And I'm going to leave that to soak for a little bit while I have a look at another part, like we spoke about the cranks as well. I'm just going to try and make it wet. I don't need to drown it. Now some of this might get onto the braking track, so I want to be careful to clean that off later too. So now I'm purposely leaving that for a minute just to give it a chance to soak into place, because at the moment I've just sprayed pretty much everywhere, and I want to let the WD-40 or the rust removal stuff, I want to let it do its job. Realistically, you want to leave this for maybe like 5 minutes. So have a quick scroll on Instagram and then come back. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to quickly mention that YouTube sent us a message recently saying that 94% of people watching these videos haven't subscribed yet. So I just wanted to quickly say that we have tens of thousands of dollars worth of value in these videos, and we're giving it all to you for free. So if it is something that you appreciate and you want to help our small business succeed, I'd love it if you could hit that subscribe button down below. Anyway, let's get back to the video. Perfect, 5 minutes is up. Let's go along and wipe off those areas that we were just spraying down. I think I started there. We'll go with that derailleur first. Now again, this is not going to make it look like it did brand new, but hopefully it's a little bit better than bad. And that's what we're aiming for here. A little bit better than bad. Crazy fact I just noticed, you probably heard me because it's been recording anyway, but I made a joke earlier in the video where I said that this is a one-by drivetrain, so it's got one chainring at the front and multiple at the back. And I said, oh, that's probably where SRAM Eagle got its idea from. Well, it actually says Eagle GS on here. There's probably somebody who can let me know in the comment section down below, what is Eagle GS? I haven't heard of it. It was before I was riding a bike, but I made a joke before and turns out that my joke was true, which means it's not a joke. It means it's just a fact. So there you go, the Eagle GS rear derailleur. Well, I've learned something today. That was like rusty color before. and now it's shiny and not rusty color. That WD-40's done a very good job. I think the wire brush would do a better job of this, but I think if I use that wire brush that I got out of the sink, my nana's gonna kill me because she uses it to wash the dishes. Okay, it's actually really cutting through it quite well. So as you can see here, all I'm really doing is just going really over the top and scrubbing it quite hard. It's pretty impressive to me what a mix of elbow grease and WD-40 can do. Elbow grease is obviously a metaphor for hard work. So if you just go along and really scrub it with some rust removal spray on there, it should hopefully come up quite a bit better, which I've been pretty impressed with how well this is performing so far. So go over and scrub any area that you can see some rust. So as you can see, this is making a world of difference to all of that surface rust. So spend a bit of time going through this, clean any spots that you think are a little bit rusty. It's worth mentioning here as well that if you're spraying that RP7 or the WD-40 or rust removal onto paint, and then you're going ahead and scrubbing it, it could peel the paint off. So be quite delicate with those parts there. You might wanna, instead of scrubbing it really, really hard, you might just wanna sort of wipe it off and have a look and see if it's damaged that section of paint. So once you reckon that you've cleaned off as much as you can and you've really scrubbed it all away, now we're ready to move on to the next step, which is washing the bike again and getting rid of all that WD-40. So you should actually never really leave a bike covered in WD-40. So now we're gonna grab a different rag. We're gonna go back to the cleaning the bike step again, just to get rid of some of that WD-40 that was all over the place. And now that we're washing it for a second time, hopefully it's looking a whole lot better now that we've scrubbed it away. All right, so now that the bike is about as clean as we reckon we can get it, now it might be worth having a look at the brakes and the gears and making sure that it all works perfectly. Now, if I'm being honest, this bike has been sitting in the shed, well, not even in the shed, down the side of the house for so long that I would be very surprised if it still works properly. I would almost expect that we should be replacing these cables. The brake does move a little bit, but as I'm pulling this brake lever is incredibly heavy. Look at how much that cable's moving as I'm trying to tighten it as well. So I think we're gonna end up replacing at least the inner, but preferably the inner and the outer cable. So I won't actually do that in today's video, but that is another step that I think I would recommend, replacing the cables. So if you wanted to bring this bike completely back to life, one of the best ways that you can do it is by putting new cables on there. I'm not gonna bother doing that in this video because we did one further back about reviving a bike. You might like that video as well. And we spoke about it a little bit more in depth in that video. Another thing that I'd wanna do if I wanted to completely revive this bike and actually spend a good bit of time riding it is probably a new chain. We spent a little bit of time trying to clean the chain. I don't know if we actually had the camera recording when we did it, but we spent a little bit of time, but it still looks really black and rusty. Sometimes the chain is one of those parts that just has to be replaced. It is a consumable part, so it's not a big deal. A new chain's maybe 40 bucks or something like that. So you might want to get a new chain on there as well. However, if your chain looks a little bit more like this one, there's a little bit of orange rust on there, you might be able to bring it back to life by doing the same technique that we've done in all the different spots on that red bike as well. Spraying the WD-40 on it, leaving it to soak for 5 minutes while you scroll Instagram, and then coming back to cleaning it as well. You have more of a chance of bringing this back to life than what we did on that one. So you might be able to save a couple bucks there. However, if spraying it with the rust removal and scrubbing it doesn't quite bring it back to the party, you could leave it overnight sitting in a bath of the rust removal or degreaser or something like that. That might give you a little bit of a better chance. It does add a little bit more difficulty to cleaning the bike, so it would just be a whole lot easier to just simply replace the chain. Now, if you've spent time cleaning and degreasing rather than just replacing the chain, now is a good time to re-lubricate it. That's gonna help give this chain the longest life that it can have. Wow, that came up so much better than I thought it would after cleaning all the rust off of it. Just kidding, it's actually this one down here. But jokes aside, it did actually come up very well by just spending a little bit of time cleaning the bike and trying to remove the rust. So hopefully you've learned a few things in this video and now you're able to try and do it as well at home. If there's something that you've learned in this video or something that you reckon that we should have mentioned in this video, let us know in the comment section below. I love learning all those different things. Otherwise, I'm gonna say thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next video. See you guys.